As darkness descends, war awakens. In the bleakness of 2091, the corporate juggernaut Horzine has unleashed its most chilling experiment yet. The Zeds. Nightmarish beasts bred to serve and slaughter. But from the shadows rises a defiance. A resistance named Nightfall. Ready to combat this engineered terror. Many people who are subscribed to this channel probably know what Killing Floor is, an addicting, fun co-op shooter that most of us spent countless hours in. I thought I'd dive deep and lay out the top features I'm hoping to see for Killing Floor 3. That sort of rhymed. So if you're as big of a fan of the series as I am, I invite you to share your thoughts in the Killing Floor 3 forums, or even on this video. Tripwire Interactive is very observant on feedback during this time. I mean, they've already got eyes on this channel, so why not throw your own ideas that you would like to see in the game? Who knows, they might see this video and be inspired by your comments. Alright, let's get to it. So first of all, I need this game to have a story. And no, that's just not to keep this channel in business, but to enhance Killing Floor into something bigger, like its environments imply. The original Killing Floor mod back in 2005 had a narrative that many of us reminisce about. It set the stage of despair for players to immerse themselves in while getting headshots. It truly did enhance the game even in its basic form. We still yearned for something like that again. Imagining a campaign showcasing the events leading up to the disaster, detailing the world before the aftermath. The future is dystopian, and corpos ain't gonna be paying their crimes against humankind. There are so many ways you can expand this by using this setting, so I hope we do get more of a grounded version of a world corrupt by greed and power. We could have that same gritty Killing Floor tone in this setting, but it's all in the execution. This not only provides depth into the game, but also satiates the lore-hungry fans like myself. Understanding the backstory enriches the entire game experience. A dedicated story mode isn't just about a linear path of gameplay. It's about immersion, living the outbreak. Understanding the decisions that led to chaos offers players an emotional connection. It's what transforms players from mere participants to invested stakeholders in its narrative. I really hope we get some sort of true story mode, or at least an objective mode that is more fleshed out than what we had in Killing Floor 2. I wasn't a big fan of those, even if I love Gary Busey. Killing Floor Incursion really showcased that Tripwire is very capable of using ingredients that make the Killing Floor franchise so unique as a story setting. I hope we get to see more of this type of approach in Killing Floor 3. There's also some juicy bits of lore within that I have yet to cover in a video, so subscribe to maybe, alright? Maybe see that one day. I learned not to make promises. Wank. Zeds. It's always been about the Zeds. The simplicity of Killing Floor enemies is iconic. It's not a coincidence we've had the same guys for over 15 years now. But variety is the spice of life. And introducing new Zed types like one that can refresh the gameplay mechanics and force us to adapt our strategies, keeping the game ever evolving. We're kind of used to the fellas we've had for a while, so new challenges will keep veterans engaged and newcomers intrigued. Now, I'm not going to ask you to bring back EDARs. I'm actually going to ask you not to bring them back. I'm serious. It's rare that I see someone speak in a positive way about these guys. I don't really have a hard time with them, but I do feel they are misplaced with the Zeds. I understand the Matriarch's reason to have them, but the name of the game has always been Guts and Gore. Those things simply aren't in EDARs. Here's a cool suggestion from a survivor. Instead of having trappers in the game, introduce a Zed variant that freezes the player slowly until they are stuck, giving time for the player to act fast or suffer the consequences. Kind of a reverse Husk in a way. Also, the armor plates. I just wouldn't be a fan of this returning. When I shoot a Zed, I like the crunching sound of their skull when they kiss my bullets. Having anything that prevents that makes me cringe. Bloats and Scrakes are smart enough to get cover, lifting their metal bits, and that's always great to see. Could normal Zeds adapt in a similar manner? You tell me, Trip. Wire. But seriously, I understand that we're just too good at dispatching these freaks. There has to be a way to keep the fight satisfying for the player without having the player face what is essentially bullet sponges. Here's hoping that whatever new Zed they bring keeps the same principles of satisfaction that the OG Zeds had. Perhaps Crawler is actually wall climbed this time around. This alone would revolutionize a lot of how the game is played and experienced. Zeds above, below, everywhere. Having 3D audio for these things would make the game feel more horror-inspired. Humans fear what we can't comprehend, and if we can't even see these little shits, well, that's fucking terrifying. Maybe then the Zed Mark III radar would actually be useful this time around, and make me feel like I'm in the set of Alien. With Unreal Engine 5 being confirmed for Killing Floor 3, we have an advanced engine at our disposal. Gore is a signature aspect of Killing Floor. The possibilities are immense. We're talking about more realistic dismemberment, gut splattering, and brain juice flowing. Overall, we're asking for more visceral action that doesn't overdo it. Detailed gore isn't just about the ugh factor, it's about how cool it looks in Zed time. We're not looking for unjustified violence, but an authentic representation of the in-game world that keeps us grounded and engaged. Think of the classic horror films from the 80s, like Hellraiser, Evil Dead, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Fly, or The Thing. I really am excited to see all of this in action because I am sick in the head and I need to go to therapy. Considering we saw Zed appear to be in a takedown animation akin to those in Doom 2016 and Eternal, it's pretty obvious that they are focusing on gruesome details up close this time around. The weapons in Killing Floor 2 were pretty impressive initially, but there was a dip in quality over time for the new ones. Whatever the reason that might have been for, I hope that for the third installment there are crispier animations, impactful feedback, and high quality sounds. All of this is crucial. Weapons should feel like an extension of the player, responsive and powerful. Weaponry is the player's main interaction with the game world. It's all about the satisfaction derived from every trigger pull, ensuring players remain engrossed. I genuinely enjoyed those little tiny details you could see whenever you reloaded your gun in Zed time in Killing Floor 2. It showed true care and crafting went into every single one of these guns, and I would love to continue this tradition in Killing Floor 3. While I do understand that the game takes place in 2091, I still long for current era and vintage era guns. Here's something that a lot of us have requested, and that's bringing back the old guns from Killing Floor 1. Talk about blast from the past. Having specific starter pistols for each class would be cool too, keeping that progression nice and steady from the jump. Upgrading your gun in Killing Floor 2 never felt truly satisfying. I was never a fan, so I propose to get rid of it entirely, if there isn't a way to make it a deliberate choice rather than just spending money because you have it. An attachment point system for certain gun buffs would do the trick. An attachment system gives players a sense of ownership and depth to the gameplay. With an attachment system, not only do we get to modify weapons for our playstyle, but it also encourages players to explore all weapon options and enhancing the game's longevity. It underscores player agency, molding our experience based on preferences. This personal touch not only enhances gameplay, but it also deepens player investment in their Zed killing adventure. Muzzle brakes, night sights, laser sights, ACOG scopes, silencers, all sorts of stuff can happen here. It's all about making the weapon truly yours. The movement in Killing Floor could use a revamp. From the olden days when we used to swap to a knife to run faster to being able to run in reverse in the sequel. We keep evolving, but we aren't quite there yet. Dynamic movement is just as important as gunplay. I've been playing, like many other people, the latest FPS games, and as much as I dislike the game, I can't dispute the fact that Warzone has some of the most solid movement controls in latest memory. Movement mechanics isn't a gimmick, it's about versatility. By integrating advanced maneuvers, players have the tools to innovate in combat, fostering creativity. In the same form, I expect Zeds to be able to keep up with all of this. Mantling, climbing, doing whatever they can to get their hands on us. Movement would also fall into how the game feels, and believe me, jank might be endearing, but good quality movement will have your game above the rest for many years to come. Moving around better means nothing if there isn't maps maps that help promote this sort of thing, along with new areas to run around blasting sets with holes. I'm asking you to remaster old maps from previous games using the Unreal Engine 5 while keeping their gritty atmosphere from their original renditions. It would be a decision that nobody would dislike. Just imagine going back to West London in this new engine. I would just simply bust. Perhaps literally revisiting classic maps in the time that Killing Floor 3 is set in, similarly to how Nuketown is handled. The world is your Killing Floor, Tripwire. Keep the fucking around and finding out mentality that a lot of the levels in 2 have, with a myriad of methods and interacting with the environment, leading to ways to decimate Zeds in a fun and gory way. This is the type of dynamic stuff that keeps players coming back. I know I do. All of these fancy graphics and gore is making me hungry. Hungry for photos of Crawler Man. No? Alright. I want a proper photo mode. Okay, this one is a bit far-fetched, but considering you'll be busy fighting for your life, I'm not sure how it would be implemented, but if Scully can take a selfie real quick as this Scrake is about to chop his head off, I think that would rock, actually. Arguably, the most controversial part of any game nowadays is the monetization and progression. A lot of stuff is tied to this, and players will agree. This will make or break a lot of the enjoyment of playing the game. How does one support a game once the sale is over, to keep it running for years to come while having seasonal events and new content dropped in a consistent manner? Killing Floor 1 had character and gun packs. Killing Floor 2 has character and gun packs. Killing Floor 3 will have monetization. It's unavoidable. It's about as Killing Floor as the Chickenator, and that guy was $5 originally. How do we avoid the problem that plagues a lot of modern AAA game releases today? The answer is simple. We copy the Deep Rock Galactic. Deep Rock Galactic is overwhelmingly positive on Steam. It's not by mistake. If you go to the Steam page of this really cool game, there is DLC there, but there are only 2 types of things you can spend real money on. Cosmetics and, hey, I love what you're doing here, please keep it rolling, as you hand them $15 and kiss them on the cheek. There's no feeling of being misled, and there's hardly anything sold that majorly impacts the game. Everyone has the same stuff, always. A streamlined system devoid of clutter makes user experience seamless. So yes, I am suggesting a battle pass, but a free one. Let's respect both the player's time and wallet, ensuring nobody feels left out. Not too grindy, not too handholdy. You can plagiarize Deep Rock Galactic, Tripwire. I don't think anyone would hate you for it. It's a system that works. Here are some rapid fire stuff I'd like to mention before we call it here. Setting up servers are by far the most annoying thing to do in Killing Floor 2. It just is. We need good UX to be able to have spontaneous community nights, special match options akin to those mutations in Left 4 Dead 2. Sometimes you just want to get pounded by 60 flesh pounds and only have a pistol to argue otherwise. It's dumb, but it's never dumb to have options to choose from. Killing Floor has had a healthy player base for years, but it's always been restricted to each of their own platforms. It's actually kind of insane the amount of people who still play Killing Floor 1 even to this day. Having crossplay can and will turn Killing Floor 3 into a long-running title, where so many people get to hang out, reap, and sow together. While incredibly short-lived, I felt Versus mode had potential to become the next Left 4 Dead. I still think being a flesh pound would be incredible, if properly balanced and if some sort of incentive to do Versus was applied. I think we all want more out of Killing Floor, and putting players against players is something that none of us would really object to. It's just more fun to be had. I love modders. I enjoy modding myself. It's one of the things that allows players to inject more life into the game even during its winter break. Players passionate enough should be encouraged to mold new things using your game's ingredients. Please provide the kitchen utilities to allow them to. We saw a lot of map makers create some of the most iconic places to rip sets in half in. Keep this up. Not a lot of people know this, but I've never died in a Killing Floor match before, so I don't know what people mean when they say that when they die and they drop their gun, they forget exactly where it is on the map that is currently flooded by a sea of organs. I'm being told that people would love to have a marker of sorts to tell them exactly where that gun is, in the limbo between waves. Time is finite. And that's pretty much all I can think of when thinking of Killing Floor 3. There is anticipation in the air for this one. I promise I wouldn't scream like a headcrab zombie if some of these end up in the game. It's been too long, my friends, and I'm back on the channel. I'll be working on other things as well as Killing Floor, so if you're a fan of my channel, just don't subscribe. I simply ask you to tell someone about the channel. That's good enough for me. Is there stuff I missed? Please let me know. I literally read every comment, even death threats, so I'm happy to read your thoughts while I drink the blood of my enemies at my computer. Alright, you guys were fun. Goodbye.